Good morning, friends. I'm finally ready to do my Monday morning message. My life's been a little chaotic this week. It's still chaotic today, but I will tell you that studying for this actually was a time I felt a lot of peace. So I am grateful for this study and that it was a prompting at the beginning of the year for something for me to do, because every week it is something that I connect again and remember how much I appreciate my Savior. So the title that I picked to talk about this week was Beloved Son. And as I studied, I also added in Only Begotten. So I'm going to talk about the Only Begotten Beloved Son. In John 1:14, it says, "And the world was made fresh, and that's not what it says. It says, "And the Word was made flesh, and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." And then in Matthew 17:5 it says, "While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear ye him." I just love thinking about the relationship between the Father and the Son, and how much he loves him, and how pleased he is with him, and how right we were to put our trust and our confidence in Jesus Christ, that he would come to the earth and do what he said he would do, to be able to redeem us, to be able to make it possible for us to be back with our beloved Father. And so as I studied, the definitions of begotten I found were fathered, unique of its kind, one and only, one of a kind. And so Christ is the only Son of the Father that is begotten in the flesh. And he is special and unique and one of a kind. And truly he is all of that. And because he is begotten of the Father is what makes him all of that. That he was capable of doing things that we were not capable of doing. And then when I looked up beloved, I found divinely loved, fully loved, dear, and well loved. I looked up, I had heard something the other day about the prefix be, and I really like what it said. Be, the prefix, means thoroughly, completely, or adorned with. And so if we put be in front of loved, that makes sense that he's thoroughly loved or completely loved. And I know that the Father feels the same way about each of us, that we are his beloved children. And he loves us, each individually. And he sees our potential. And he sees those things that we can do to help his other children. And really think that's why the Savior is his beloved Son. Is because I think about the people that I love the most in my life, and they are the ones who have done beautiful things for my children. They're the ones that have taken care of them and loved them and treated them well and done things for them that they could not do for themselves. And we look at the Savior, and no wonder the Father loves him so much, because of what he did for the rest of his children. Because we could not do it for ourselves, because we were incapable. The Savior came and he did what he did because he loved us. And because of what he did for us, the Father loved him even more, loves him even more. I think agency is such an interesting thing. We love it when it applies to us. And it's so hard when we know that it's something that our children need to express their agency. Especially one of the hardest transitions in my life has been watching my daughter become an adult and not to have as much say in her life, and to be able to just have to step back and let her make her choices, even when you can see the destruction that it's going to bring your children. It's so hard to know that they have to make those choices themselves, and they have to experience the consequences to make adjustments, just like we all have. And the Father sent us down here wanting us to not just to do the right thing, but to choose to do the right thing. And so he knew we would screw up. And it must be so hard for him to watch us make the choices that we make, knowing the destruction it's going to cause and the hearts it's going to break and the repairs it's going to require. And yet he prizes our agency above all else, which is why he wanted his plan of allowing us to have that agency and to make those choices. And then because he knew we are flawed and we screw up, he sent his beloved Son to redeem us, to allow us to correct those mistakes and still make it possible for us to return to him. And I am so grateful for that. He is my beloved Savior. I also there was a thought somebody brought up in another group that I was listening to yesterday about how when someone is learning to play the piano, especially our children, that we don't listen to them making mistakes and say, well, they're failing at the piano or they're failing at the violin and it's painful. We say they're practicing. And each step of our lives, that's also what we're doing. We're not failing. We're practicing. And hopefully we're getting better. And thank goodness for our beloved Savior, the Father's beloved Son, that when we practice and we make mistakes and we hit a wrong chord, that we can try again and that we can make better music the more we practice. Whether that applies to being mothers, wives, sisters, human beings, whatever it is, just to remember that we're practicing. And when we hit a wrong chord, that's why we have a beloved Savior, the beloved Son of the Father. And one last thought keeps popping into my head that I thought I would share with you is that at this time when we are all struggling a little bit, I know, life hasn't really been that different for me, and yet I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. One day I'm great and I'm happy and I'm feeling good, and the next day I'm just melancholy and just having a hard time, just feeling the loss of connection. And I think more than ever, we have a desire to connect with our Father, to find the peace that he offers through his Son. And I was reading a talk, and it was talking about how... Oh, I thought I lost you all. My internet is struggling, apparently. So, in nothing does the Father feel more offended than when we forget him, or when we do not give him, when we do not express gratitude for what he has given us. And the thought that came to me is that it's not so much that he is insulted that we don't come to him, because he doesn't need that. That's pride, right? He is disappointed because we have chosen not to draw closer to him. We have chosen to try to fix things on our own or try to feel better on our own instead of going to him. And we've lost the opportunity to draw closer to him when we choose to try to do things on our own. And so when you feel that pull to go to him, go. Pray, talk to him, even if you're expressing your frustrations or your anger or your disappointment. I know he wants to be a part of our journey, and he wants us to remember him because he wants us to draw closer to him so he can bless us more. How interesting it is to have a Father who loves us so much that his disappointment comes not in what we've done, but in us not wanting to take the opportunity to draw close to him so he can bless us more. That's what it stems from, is his deep, deep love for us, that he wants to bless us, and he wants to comfort us, and he wants to be a part of our journey. that as much as the Savior is his beloved Son, we are also his beloved children, and he wants to have that relationship with us. We are not perfect, but he does not expect us to be. If he did, he wouldn't have sent our Savior. And so this week, I just want you to think about ways, times that you have felt his loving comfort, his loving hand in your lives. And I want you to return there. I want you to take some time to remember how much he loves you. Olia Goff, signing off. Get hope, get Christ, get anchored.